Welcome everybody to the Red Suit Interviews, and we are joined by the meme lord, the myth, the legend, the true man, the dad of the internet, Mr. Voiceover Pete. Thank you very much to have you on. This is incredible honor, amazing to have you. This is great. So how are you today? How's your day been?
Well, thank you so much for the gracious intro, Ryan. You're very kind.
No problem. So, with everything, like, for people who don't know who you are and what you do, can you give just sort of like a brief summary of, I guess, what you do, who you are, and how you came to be?
Basically, I'm a guy who went from a life of sales and presentations and started my own business about 5 years ago, where I did video spokesperson voiceovers, predominantly for businesses and occasionally for YouTubers. Little did I know one of them was going to go viral. Out of the 7,000 productions I did this one 30-second little video for a guy on YouTube who wanted me to say something about John Wick, who needs your credit card. He didn't know it was going to go viral. I didn't. And a couple of months later, I've got a huge sales queue in my funnel on Fiverr platform. And finally, they came to me and said, on an email after 5 years as a top-rated sailor, said, sorry, you're banned.
Wow. How did that, like, what was their reasoning behind that?
Well, they never gave me a reason. Even though I asked, they never replied to emails. And so I just figured there must have been some sort of lawsuit pressure that Epic Games felt that somebody may apply to them or to Fiverr. And they just decided, you know what, it's easier to cut the cord than anything else. So it's just so happened that my son was here that day and he recorded it, and we decided to take the big step and go on YouTube. Little did I know that within a matter of months, we'd be at 1 million subscribers. And it's just been a blast just to really go through this journey with everybody.
Yeah. And especially with your initial starts with like testimonial videos, etc. Do you still do that? Do you still find that as sort of a part of what you do, or have you just now moved solo?
Absolutely. I definitely have what I call just little buckets. And that's one of my buckets is business to business videos. I set it up through my own website at voiceoverpete.com, where people come, order a video, and great. Order a voiceover, great. As well as then I'm sponsored. I do Twitch. I do the videos on YouTube. I try to keep all my options open.
Okay. And I guess like with the amount of people that have come and wanted to like have videos made of you and get people to read the scripts that they've written, surely be a large number of weird and wild things. So what have been sort of the most eccentric and weirder things that people have tried to get you to say, or you've done?
You know, I really want to approach things where I want to be the family-friendly guy. Because let's face it, on the internet, there's extreme in every direction of life. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to put my flag here and just say, anybody watches me, it's just going to be family-friendly. So I would say hasn't been really extreme to the dark edges. Instead, it's been just fun. Probably one of the more unusual ones was where I was Jujan John for a guy in England. I did an early meme called chair. And that's all I said about 50 times. Chair, 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 chair. That one was different. Of course, every variation under the sun of John Wick needs your help and we need your credit card.
That's great. Because you touched on just there as well with sort of like trying to be ethical with your testimonials. And when I spoke to Big Man Tyrone, people haven't seen, I interviewed him a while back now. He was talking about with his ethics when he did testimonial videos, like he would never anything explicitly say something, but he would be fine alluding to it. So what's your sort of take on trying to do testimonial videos and trying to keep your brand image?
Yeah, actually, I steered clear of testimonial videos. That was a whole category on Fiverr, and so I just never did a testimony. So what I did was focus more on, since I was in sales, I decided, you know what? Why not just be a spokesperson? So I'll be a spokesperson for somebody, not a product that I've never seen, tasted, touched, or anything like that. So I decided to go down this road. I did all sorts of news, sort of fake news, but it was news where we would say, okay, Ryan is going to come on today and he's got some exciting news for you. And then I would pull in people from around the world, which are also part of the Fiverr platform. And we created an international news team. It wasn't fake news, but it was fake in that we look like a large newsroom production. Does that make sense?
I get what you mean, yeah. So I guess even in that, so what would it take for someone for you to go like, yeah, nah, like what's the line where you go?
The line was real simple. If we're gonna swear, no. If we're gonna defame anybody, even if they deserve it, we're not doing it. That's just not gonna be us. So I kept pretty simple standards, and I kept very true to them.
Good. And I guess it's sort of like you've been sort of now involved with this huge YouTube community. And when did you truly realize that you were now creating something big? That you're now part of something much larger than just Voiceover Pete?
Ooh, when did it get larger? I think right around Christmas time, where I saw we were truly crossing over from this little slice of what people knew me as into a much larger slice. And we born the idea of trying to run for president of the internet. And when I took that step and put the call out to our fans, hey, we're going to be here on this date, if you'll meet us at the courthouse steps, over 200 people showed up. And that's when I said, you know what? This isn't about a meme. This is just about fans and friends coming out to be a part of something. And I said, there you go. It's bigger than us.
Yeah, that's true. And with now this whole like internet presidency, well, can you explain that? Can you explain what that sort of concept is? Are you saying, because I feel like there might be a bit of confusion with what you mean by that.
There is confusion, and I think too many people took me literal. But if you go back to the video, I clearly say I'm running for president of the internet. There is no such position. It's just fun. We're just providing something that I thought would be kind of rallying, inspiring, and yet really talk about the heart of the matter for, I think, the internet world, and that's Article 13. That was kind of the impetus of what started us thinking down this way. Well, if I could run things, here's one thing I would like to run on. But as far as getting more political than that, I don't want to go there. I just want to say, let's stand up, all of us together, and kind of unite around some certain things. Can we agree to that? Yeah, makes sense to me. And it kind of went from there.
Yeah, that's just like an interesting sort of thing what you've even touched on there as well with like the whole political thing. It's like trying to like steer your content and try not to touch on those things, so you try and keep it a bit more sort of inclusive of everybody. So how do you do it, even especially with like things like Article 13? How do you avoid those sort of trying to be too political?
Well, number one, I don't have an agenda other than, you know what, I call it common sense. I think today's politics around the world have just lost common sense for agendas. To me, can we just focus on what makes the most sense for everybody? And you may not fit somebody's agenda, but can we at least agree to that? So I said, Article 13, it seems to me that the only people that benefit are corporations and politicians, and us content creators. The guy that we're carrying all the backs of these people, we don't benefit. So that doesn't make sense. So if we as content creators can rally around this, let's do it. Makes sense.
That's true. And I guess even just like with the other YouTube creators, how has that sort of come about, and how have you started connecting with all these YouTubers? Is it seems like a lot of people are just approaching you now, or is it sort of like a 50-50, you reach out for someone and they come back, or vice versa?
It is 50-50, and that's okay. Obviously, if you reach out to some of the well-known, very popular people, They don't have time. They look at me. I'm, this big. I've only been around this long. And I don't begrudge them at all. And that's fine. The other people who have been very gracious, even PewDiePie himself, think what you will of him. He doesn't even have to acknowledge me. And yet he's certainly done that on a number of occasions. And I just consider that a sign of respect, a sign of friendship. And so I definitely want to extend my olive branch to anybody who says, yeah, let's unite around these common things. Great.
Yeah, and what has been sort of one of your favorite collaborations? What do you think's been the most satisfying or the best collaboration you've done?
The start of the year was certainly one of my favorite, where Grande came out with his memes of 2018. And so we called it the Meme Awards. And I had the privilege of being the host. He went through and did a lot of the heavy lifting, the hard work of figuring out, here are the categories, who gets the votes. He sent that out, polls to his audience, came back and said, here's the information. And I had the privilege of hosting that. That was a lot of fun. Great collaboration.
Yeah, that was a really interesting or great thing to watch. And working with PewDiePie especially, he's sort of like an interesting guy in terms of, like, he has like a huge fan base, and it's amazing how much things, but there's also a little bit of controversy. How
you don't say.
Yeah. With you and especially where you try and keep your brand sort of, I guess sort of trying to keep it clean in that sort of regard. How has it been with you trying to work with him, but also try and keep yourself not sort of pulled?
I look at the person and what they're trying to do, and I determine, is this person, I feel, genuinely trying to help others, genuinely trying to be authentic, and say what you will about his mistakes. I just respect him for the fact that he's made them and stood up, owned them, apologized. And to my knowledge, he hasn't repeated any of these, as he calls them, oopsies. So you know what? I'm going to take him as sincere, genuine, authentic. And I think that's one of the things his audience loves about him is, okay, he's a man who will at least admit, you know what? I messed up, whatever you want to call it, his oopsie, and now he's willing to move on. All right, then I can respect a man like that.
I guess we'll get back to more sort of the testimony, or not the spokesman videos. Like, how did you initially get into that, and what sort of drove you to start doing the spokesman videos?
You're gonna laugh. So, a company I was part of as a sales executive, the owner came in from Europe after 2 weeks of me getting trained. He flies into California and says, "Okay, everybody, on a Friday, I've decided not to launch the U.S. operations. I'm going to do everything from Europe. Basically, you're all laid off."
Wow.
Exactly what I said. So on the plane home, I'm scratching my head going, what do I do now? So I gave it a try again to get into the market. But unfortunately, at that time, that was a downturn, like a recession in our country. Couldn't find a job. And my son, the one you see in the videos, came to me and said, "Dad, you've done all these presentations. Why don't you try voiceovers?" So I did, and it took off, but the money wasn't very lucrative. So I was like, well, what do I do? And again, my son came back and said, "Dad, you did all these presentations in front of executives. Why don't you be a video spokesperson? What have I got to lose?" So I went ahead, borrowed a studio. My business just blew up. And therefore, I took my garage, converted it into a studio. And wow, I haven't slowed down much since then.
Yeah. And with your sort of the more serious side with your spokesman's videos, what is sort of the general market that people sort of come and get you to sort of speak on behalf of their businesses?
There's a couple categories. Obviously, when cryptocurrency was taking off, I couldn't do enough of those. There's always a market for the real estate industry. So they're always looking for somebody who can come in and say, "Hey, so-and-so is a really great realtor and you should look at them." So realtors love me, working with me and what we can produce. A lot of companies that are looking to distinguish themselves in a different way, like, okay, we've got to get this news out, more than just like your typical commercial. So that's when I got the idea of why don't we do like a little news broadcast, and we'll bring in a couple of reporters and talk about the company and their product and or service. And that went very, very well. So fast forward, 5 years, thousands of productions. We learned a lot. I learned a lot and grew a lot from it. So that by the time I got to YouTube, I was like, oh my gosh, I understand what I'm doing, but the market definitely, the audience changed significantly. And that has been the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah, and just even speaking with the changes, how have you sort of dealt with these changes from turning from like working, seems like with small business or businesses in general, to now this more online community YouTube sphere? How have you dealt with and how have you tried to change your sort of plans and video makeup?
Well, to be very candid, that is the biggest challenge, because what I like may not be what the audience likes, and what the audience likes may not be what I like. So where's the common ground there? What I want to produce, it may not be a big hit, or then we throw out a video production and go, well, we're not sure how is they going to like it, and next thing you know, it's got 1 million views. I'm like, oh, didn't see that one coming. So that's really been quite a challenge, is trying to figure out how to present something in a way that's well received, and we both can look at it and go, wow, that was a really good video.
Yeah, and what would have been like some of the videos that were the biggest shock for you that like really took off, other than like the John Wick one, obviously?
A few weeks ago, again, to be very candid, we did a Rocket League video where I got together with a guy who is like a pro coach, and he taught me some things, and we kind of went through it all. Had a great time. He's a great coach, and I had no idea that it would go so viral. It was like over 1 million views on a Rocket League video. I was like, what? And then my son, who wants to be, do you know who J.J. Abrams is? My son, he wants to be the next J.J. Abrams. So he wants to do this cinematographic, very episodic, movie-like, production. He comes out with some of this stuff, and I'm like, wow, that would win, all sorts of awards. And we look at the views and go, guess not. So it's funny, a guy out there with a cell phone waving it around going, hey, everybody, it's me. 1 million views. We come out with thousands of dollars of pro cinematographic camera and equipment, and it's like, 100,000 views.
I know that feeling as well, when you think you create something so good and you're like, this is the one, this is the piece, this is the magical one that's gonna make it, and it just like for some reason just doesn't take off. And it's like, that's a weird feeling to have. But just even talking with your son there, how much of an influence do you think, because having your son also, like you said, wanting to be part of doing this film project, how much do you think that sort of influenced you more going into this direction? And
100%. Yeah, that's how much. Because I look at my son, who's truly got a better way to be plugged into the community. He's closer in age. He understands millennials in a much different way than I understand millennials. I understand them through my son. My son is a millennial, so he understands them peer to peer. That's more insightful than my observation. So when he said, Dad, let's do this together. Little did either of us know years ago that we would work together in such a way, but because of it's father-son, I go, this is great. This is a no lose. I don't care if one person watches the video, like my wife, that it doesn't matter. I got to do and create something with my son. And you tell me, as a son yourself, how do you put a value on that with your dad?
Yeah, that's very important, very poignant, I guess. Being able to, like, even just like for me, like playing tennis with my dad each week, that's such a valuable connection.
That's it.
And it's motivating as well to yourself to have that strong connection with your dad as well.
I hope so. And I feel bad because I hear all sorts of emails. People are like, oh my gosh, I wish you were my dad. I wish my dad would talk to you on how to be a dad. And I'm like, I don't have a lock on this, guys.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you've started your own series. What's it? Is it Internet Dad or was it
TED
the
Talks.
TED? Yeah, that's it. Um, and the advice like varying like drastically in like different topics and seriousness as well. Like the other day, I was watching you talk about like dealing with like suicidal thoughts and that sort of regard.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's really it's great as also to see that you have this sort of like you feel like you have this personal responsibility to also talk about these things and try and help people out there as well.
I try to do things that other people aren't. And that's why some of these videos you go, wow, that's different. I don't know if you like it, but yeah. So when people were writing and suggesting, how do I give me some advice? I was like, what a no-brainer. I know what this is. This is as simple as a simple, candid, authentic dad talk. So let me take a few minutes and just talk to you like I would my own son. And that's the approach I try to take. Let's talk about the subjects you guys want to bring up. And it is amazing and truly breaks my heart, some of these things that these people bring up. I mean, think of the things that you know about, like you said, depression, which leads to suicide. I don't want to talk about that, to be honest. I don't. It's something I never dealt with, and wow, it's like a subject I I really didn't want to go there. However, it was amazing how many people said pretty much the same thing. I'm depressed, depressed, depressed. All I can think about is ending it. What do I do? Breaks my heart.
Yeah. And how do you like? I guess it's that kind of weird sort of feeling as well. With I guess from your perspective as well that there's so many people that are sort of claiming that you are the reason why they keep going and the reason that they're smiling at times. And how does that make you feel? And sort of what does that inspire you to do anything else along this field?
It does. And that's where I came to the same place with my son about dad talks. And we said, you know what? It may not get a million views. It may only get, a couple hundred views. And that's okay because those couple hundred people that receive it and go, you know what, that meant so. And look at the comments. I'm not making this stuff up. Look at the comments. There's really nothing negative in there in our comments. It's all about, wow, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for talking about this. I couldn't talk about this with my parents. Thank you. I'm like, all right. I don't care at that point about the views. I'm going to throw those videos, so to say, about marketing our views on Dad Talks. I'm going to say I'm doing it for the person who wrote. And if it meant something to them, it's worth it.
Well, that's really inspiring as well to see that you sort of use your platform in like trying to be and do it in like a use it for good, I guess, instead of just necessarily just sort of trying to seek the next view, that sort of thing.
Drama.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people out there that would definitely appreciate it. And I hope like even what you do inspires other creators as well to go down that field of trying to use that platform more for like a better purpose and a better experience for people. And with video production is like with your videos, what has been the most satisfying? Not necessarily what you think's been the best, but what's been the most satisfying video you've made so far?
Most satisfying. Well, it's so funny. I just came back from Colorado, spent time out there with both my sons. We had a long weekend. One of my sons who lives out there in Colorado, it's the Rocky Mountains. It's the Continental Divide that runs down our western country. And, the peaks, I don't know what it is in meters, but over here in feet, there's peaks over 14,000 feet. So they're huge. We got to go to a dog yard adventure dog sledding camp. I thought that was great. My son works there. Snowmobiles. And it was just a great time to be in the true outdoors of the Rocky Mountains with my sons. I don't know if those videos are going to get tons of views, but I say I had a great time with my sons. And that means more to me than views. So that I kind of take a lot of pride and pleasure in. But probably from a video production point that I was really, really pleased with was the one that ran for president, and kind of announcing that.
That was
I
a
was
really good
so
video.
overwhelmed.
That was really well done. Just like everything
Thank
part
you.
of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just even touching with like your family as well. How have you and your family? Because obviously like your son's working with it as well, but with the other members of your family, like how have they sort of now come to terms with like one of their dad being internet meme, internet like celebrity, I guess now at this point. How how have they all dealt with this?
Well, obviously, my son who helps, his name's PJ. He's been very, very supportive, 100%. Can't say enough good about him as a professional, as a son, as somebody who I named my creative director. So that guy, great, star, brilliant. My wife, very, very supportive. She looks at it and says, wow, my son and my husband are doing something together. She loves to see what we do and definitely stands behind it. My other son out there in Colorado, he's like, Dad, all of a sudden I have all these friends on my Facebook. What's up with that? And he's loving life out there as a adventurer. So the family's been extremely supportive. My friends have been very supportive. They ask me for my autograph now. It's been fun. I'm not going to deny it.
I guess they'd be very proud of you, and I guess you'd be very proud of your kids as well.
Absolutely.
And with your videos especially, why do you think people have taken such a interest in you? Like, what has made you stand out amongst the rest that people have really definitely taken an interest in?
It's a good question, one I've certainly asked myself and others, and my conclusion is, let's face it, I don't run down the center lane of the highway of the internet. I'm not a 20-year-old gamer. I'm, I'm not a video blogger. You know, I'm not your typical internet person. So when you look at me, I'm not typical. And so therefore the fact that I game, I stream on Twitch, I do my videos, I make them pretty cinematographic. All these things are very different. So when you come, and I try to be family friendly. So when you look at all that, you stand back and go, there's not too many guys like this. In fact, I actually don't know anybody doing this stuff that I do. So I think I just stand apart, and I'm okay with that. Let's cut our own road down the highway and have some fun doing it.
Yeah, no, you're a very you're a very unique sort of channel, and with your own personality, and I guess that's sort of like you have this very genuine brand and genuine personality towards you, and how you connect with people especially is again inspiring. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
And where do you see your sort of content going in the future? Where do you see yourself with this channel, or even with the spokesman videos? Where do you see it in the next sort of like couple of years, or even 10 years at this point?
Great question. Another question I've asked myself. So down the road, I definitely see at some point I'd like to have a whole studio where I stand back more as a producer than as an actor, as talent. And I can go ahead and have others sit in my place and do this. I'd like to get a little more into the announcer, host personalities where I could go ahead and announce a lot of esport games. So I'd like to see that role fulfilled. I'd like to be a spokesperson for a number of sponsors out there. I think that would work very well to both of our advantages. So I could definitely see that for a number of years.
Yeah.
And if Hollywood is calling, I am available.
You are available. Are you going to go more for the animation voice actor over that direction, or do you think more your beautiful face on the front cover of every DVD and Blu-ray and MP4 file out there?
You know, part of me just says both. If Bethesda called, right? If EA Games called and said, Pete, we've got a role for you. Master Chief needs your voice. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'd do it.
Yeah, I think everyone would pretty much do it at that point.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
And, well, speaking of which, have you had any sort of like that, I guess, for lack of a better word, that real world sort of elements now coming and sort of talking to you? Have you had any of that? I'm going to say yet.
I have. But until somebody signs on dotted line, I don't want to get too excited about what could be until it is.
That's fair enough. Well, I don't necessarily want to, like, I'm not trying to push you to, like, say, like, what is it? But, like, can you give, like, a general sort of, if you don't want to, like, a general vibe of sort of what people are, like, coming to you about?
I just was up at one of America's largest voiceover conferences, and I got to meet with some of the who's who of video game voiceover people. I met female Commander Shepard, right?
Oh, wow,
From Mass
yeah.
Effect. I met her. I met Porky Pig, the voice of Porky Pig, which is Looney Tune cartoons here.
Wow.
Just some of the and I met Miss Tomb Raider a couple of years ago. We had the main keynote speaker was Siri from Apple. She came and spoke to the group. Just so many wonderful artists who've done so many things, and just to rub elbows with them and understand, how did you do this? And it comes back to, I think, would you do every day, Ryan? And it's friendships, it's relationships. And I knew this person, you knew that person. Suddenly things came together and it worked. It clicked. So I'd love to get into games, video games as a voiceover artist. I'd love to get into, Hollywood movies, but Disney's not knocking on my door yet.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if video games in the next development stage and sort of stuff would be coming after you, especially with just sort of the crazy sort of all that is around you now.
Well, thank you.
It'd be amazing if my protagonist would be, all right, now if we can only get through this next stage, if we can have your credit card details, that would be amazing. Amazing. But one of the really interesting things that I saw that you're doing at the moment as well is the voice over Pete. So can you?
Wow, you are current. You're stalking me very well.
I tried.
So we just had
Yeah.
We just did auditions last Saturday with Pyro Cynical, Dolan Dark. This Saturday we have on Monster Cat and Crab Rave. So both those guys will be here to be the judge. We'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited.
So what is the show? So what are you guys doing with it? What's the premise, even, I guess?
Well, the premise is real simple, just like the TV show The Voice. So I wanted to extend and open up the invitation to anybody. Come on out, audition to sing and or play an instrument. But it needs to be original because I don't want a copy strike.
I was wondering why that was the that was the reason.
Yeah, like that would never happen on YouTube. So we had some good people come out, and we had some interesting talent. We're putting together the auditions, and then we'll come out with part 2, the finals. Assuming all goes well and it's well received, then we're going to go ahead and do it on a regular basis.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know, we can get a little bit of an exclusive. What have been some of your standouts with the show so far?
Aside from working with Dolan Dark and Pyro Cynical, which, man, those guys are funny. I really enjoyed them. It's amazing. It's impressive to me to see how people have such great talents if you only give them a stage. That's it. Some people just need the opportunity. Ryan, you tried it, you got in there, and finally a radio station came and said, we're going to give you an opportunity. And here we are today talking to the masses in Australia. Little did I know
the masses of Australia. I don't know if that's a real thing. I feel like that's an oxymoron, but but there's not many people here. But how, has there been any contestant so far on The Voice that has really sort of made you go, whoa, okay, I wasn't aware at this level now, this sort of amazing talent?
tune in this Saturday. What's the date? The 20th. Tune in April 20th to my Twitch channel, Voiceover Pete, for the live show, 4 p.m. GMT -4, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And let's see the live results.
So keeping cards to your chest with the
a bit
with your favorites, and
yes.
you don't want to. So is there a voting system on who can win and who wins? How do people win in this show?
With the judges, we're gonna do it. Keep it real close that way with the judges. I mean, with Monster Cat himself. I mean, who do you want as a judge? I want him.
Fair enough.
You got Crab Rave, a fellow artist. He ought to know some talent when he sees it.
But not just talent, meme talent as well.
So yeah, it's hard because all they are just audio. They're not video.
Yeah.
So you're just going to hear them. You're not going to see them.
Well, it's the true meaning of the voice.
The voice.
Yeah, you're more truer to the idea of it than the actual TV show. It's only about the voice.
Ryan, you're brilliant.
Yeah. These are the marketing things you got to think of. You're the sales expert. So, so what are you gonna try and expand it with more sort of viewer interactions in the future?
Absolutely. That's the part of the point on Twitch is we can get real time chat input, and I understand we're trying to work it out with Twitch where they can cast votes. Won't be this Saturday, but in the future they'll cast votes.
And even with Twitch, how have you been enjoying with the streaming aspect of it, and trying to now explore that medium as well on top of your other ventures?
The way I've approached Twitch is, let's face it, I'm not going to be the pro gamer. Okay, so why pretend I'm the pro gamer? I'm not. But I'll game with you and we'll have a lot of fun in the process. Okay. How many gamers are out there where they're willing to open the doors? Let's play with all these randoms and have a good time. So far, it's been a lot of fun.
And how have you seen has there been much of a difference in the communities between YouTube and Twitch? And have you noticed any sort of major differences in how both of these things work?
Actually, I think of it as all one great big circle. So one community bleeds into the next, which bleeds into the next, which goes into the next. So my Discord community often shows up in Twitch, but because I use Twitter, Instagram, they also come out for Twitch. So I think one kind of feeds the other, and then it feeds the other like a big circle.
Okay. So you haven't really so it's just one big sort of voiceover.
I don't see them as separate. I see them as bleeding over and touching each other.
That makes sense.
I do. With the center engine, I would compare it to an engine then. The engine is YouTube. And all the others feed each other and the engine.
Okay.
Come to my TED Talk and I'll explain further.
Oh, okay. I'll be there. Wait, you said TED Talk. So is this something that you've done, or are you going to plan on doing?
No. I'm joking.
Oh, I was going to say, have you actually going to be... Because I wouldn't be surprised if you get a TED Talk, because I'm not trying to be mean, but they get some pretty weird people on there as well. So
well, not just weird, but they do get heavy hitters.
Of course they get heavy hitters, but they can they've got a range, and some of them they don't even vet. That's the weird one.
Oopsie.
Yeah, but speaking, I guess with memes in general, what has been sort of one of your favorite sort of memes to work off, with the whole Twitch and YouTube sphere?
Actually, my favorite meme from last year was Crab Rave. And so ironic that here I am going to be able to do something with him. Ian, that's the guy, the artist's name. He is extremely talented. Now he's coming out with his own little video game that's a spin-off or takeoff on his song, Crab Rave. So the guy is truly, truly a very gifted, talented person. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, just the memes in general. And what do you it's an unpredictable world with the world of memes. I'm not going to think you're the expert of it, but what where do you think the progression of things are going to turn to from your expertise on the internet world?
My advantage point is I get to stand back a little bit further than many because they're so close. So what I saw from just 10 years ago when PewDiePie started and he was dabbling in games, dabbling with some sort of meme. And now here today, he's basically doing, memes every week along with some other reviews. So I think the cycle of memes has shortened from months and months and months to now it's really just weeks.
Yeah.
So name a meme. I bet it was, other than TikTok and a few others, kind of here and gone. Who's talking about Big Chungus today? No one. Shaggy was like the meme of February. Who's talking about Shaggy today? No one.
Yeah.
So they kind of come and go extremely quick now.
Yeah. I guess also, I wonder if it was like a fear for you as well in terms of like whether or not you would fizzle out like immediately after like those initial few videos. Were there anything that you sort of tried to put in place that sort of made you now this much long-lasting creator on YouTube?
If you figure that out, tell me.
So it's just been you must
trial and error.
Trial and error, because you must be doing something right because people still love you now. And maybe
I give them a lot of money.
just put it what you get, put it back in.
Pretty much.
It's the economy, the circle of economy. I guess my personal guess was like your involvement with the community, especially, was one of the big reasons why you're still loved by so many. Even with like your Discord, your live streaming, your Q&A sort of thing on your channel. I think that's a massive part of it. But also your genuine nature and your ability to speak to people and in your own sort of voice as well. I think a lot of people really enjoy that to watch.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I guess I look at my life at this point and I say, honestly, I have nothing to prove. I am who I am. Love it, leave it, take it. If you don't, fine. I'm just going to be me.
Fair enough. And what is there any like major projects that you really want to work on now? Like with
Yes.
the Voiceover Pete competition. Is there anything else that we could be excited about? What could be happening in the future?
Several projects. Live Battle Royale paintball. It's been done with airsoft. What I want to do is a live game and have in about 100 YouTubers, gamers, and we play this with paintball, which I think is going to be a lot more exciting. Still run around the 3 balloons on our back, have that credit card reader. But yes, that's one big project. Another project I want to do, and I'm trying to work it out with a fellow content creator, is I want to break a bunch of Guinness Book of World Records for trampoline records, whether it's bouncing, doing flips, all sorts of things on a trampoline. So we're looking for some of the largest trampoline parks in the U.S.
Wow.
So that should go well.
Oh wow, that's some really even with the paintball sort of aspects of it. Are you planning on just sort of having like setting up a stadium with like a bunch of cameras around, sort of almost even have like a camera on your back or someone else? Like, are you going to participate in this, or is it going to be other people?
I want to do both again. So I definitely want to run around the field, lighting up people. On the other hand, I want to be the announcer, the host. So it depends on what style we do this. You could do it like Hunger Games, right? May the odds be ever in your favor. Kind of take that approach and this team, that team, kind of like, right? You had just in Hunger Games. Or do you take the approach like the Olympics? And you have this Olympian and that Olympian. So we're not sure how to do the theme, but either way, I'm like, I want to be the guy back also in the booth, kind of making the announcement, the calls. And I think that'd be very exciting.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. I think you can, your inner creator side is sort of competing possibly with the person who wants to play paintball side. a little
Exactly.
bit. Yeah. And I
Maybe
know
I'll just play scrimmage games and then go host.
that could be the way it works. But I think one of the last things that we want to talk about is what would be the thing that you would tell yourself, I don't know, I guess 5-10 years, or even the time when you got let go in California, what would be the things that you would tell yourself then? Like, would be anything that you'd say to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. Go for it. No reserve. Go for it. I think sometimes when we face a big challenge, you can either respond in one of two ways. You either lock up with some sort of apprehension, some sort of overwhelming, oh, how am I going to do this? Or you run for it. I did a little of both.
That's fair. And would there be any advice for people, especially who've seen your great rise with YouTube? What other advice would you give to people who are sort of wanting to get into sort of more of the creative industries and are sort of dealing with that aspects of
it is so easy to get wrapped around the numbers. And finally, the conclusion I've come to in my short time is don't focus on the numbers. Instead, focus on the few. Do what you do it well to whatever ability you can, and focus on saying, all right, I'm just going to do what I love. And you're going to have a lot more sleep at the end of the day, even if the numbers don't come, because you can sleep with yourself. You have that resolve. There's no conflict like, oh, now I got to be something I'm not. Don't. Be who you are, be authentic. And if people love it and want to watch it and see more, the numbers will come because they'll see that. On the other hand, how long are you going to be able to produce something inauthentic, even if the numbers come? You're not.
No, I definitely know what you mean with that, especially.
So Ryan, for your show, keep doing what you do. Keep doing your research, do it well, your prep work. And so when you get on here, go for it. Ask some tough questions. Don't throw everybody the easy lobs, but ask them some tough ones. And your show's going to continue to take off and rise because people are going to see you as being somebody who's authentic and they love you because you're a great guy.
Yeah. Speaking of tough questions, so what's your credit card number?
Oh, look at the time.
Yeah. Well, again, another tough question, and now this might be a bit of a weird one for you, but this is a hypothetical. I ask a lot of people on the show. Generally, I sort of target more the political guys who I've talked to, but I think you've got the wits about you to sort of tackle this intense mind game. So the hypothetical goes something it's like this. So let's say you die and you went to heaven, and God's up there. He goes, you know what, Pete? You know, everything you've known, pretty much wrong. The thing is, the Nazis, they had it right from the beginning. You see, in fact, they didn't go hard enough. Even Hitler, he shouldn't have been in power because he didn't have blonde hair. But you know what, Pete? I'm going to give you an opportunity here. You can go back to Earth and you can live your life again. However, you have the opportunity to, you can let everyone know in the world what goes on. And if you do that, you can come back up to heaven and stuff. But if you don't, you go to hell. So in that situation, this is a bit complex. I know it's a bit weird. But what would you do in that situation? As soon as you let one person know, everyone knows it's truth. There's no sort of taking it back, and there's no sort of debating it. Everyone knows it's the truth. So in that situation, what would you do?
This is a common question you ask your people?
Oh, yes. And
Obviously, I do not know enough about your show, Ryan.
This is just like the general curve when I ask at the end of it. So I've had people on the show get into arguments with each other over the answer of this question. Because I remember I had two people come on and talk to them at the same time, and they got into an argument and questioned their friendship over this. So that was an interesting.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
So your question is, if you stood before God Almighty at the end of your life and he said, you had it wrong, even Hitler got it wrong, you should have been more brutal.
Yeah.
that my understanding?
Yeah. And then he sent you back and basically gave you the power to let everyone know, to pretty much turn the switch to let everyone know the quote-unquote truth of the world, or let people sort of live sort of happily, but sort of not knowing what's the actual truth. What would be your situation in that? Would you sort of take your personal sacrifice and let people live in ignorance, I guess, or sort of be like, I'm just going to go to heaven, screw you all?
This is one of those questions where there's a no-win.
Yeah. That's a hard
And it's
thing
also
about.
circular reasoning.
Potentially, yeah.
Because if I have morals and I get to heaven and find out my morals are wrong, then my morals are wrong because I have the wrong beliefs in God. If I have the wrong beliefs in God, then is that a God I want to follow, believe in, put my faith in? And if I do follow what he says, then I get to go to heaven. But heaven's not going to be what I imagine because all those morals and everything else are wrong. Therefore, heaven may be more like hell. So
that's a very interesting point you brought up there. It's sort of like, do we follow God because we value what he believes in, or do we follow the tenets of God because we believe in God?
the answer to that is yes. It's both.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
At that time, I wasn't joking.
No,
So,
I know.
yeah.
I was just like, yeah, it's like one of those sort of interesting things where it's like a bit of both there, yeah.
But that's a thought-provoking question. I appreciate you asking.
Well, that being said, I think we'll end it at that tough note, that very, very thought-provoking note. Sorry if it was a bit much, but you know, I like asking that one just generally with
No worries, mate.
to catch
no
people
worries.
off with there. But
Yes.
trust me, there's been some other ones that I've asked in the past that I pretty much scratched those ones off the menu for further things. But anyway, thank you very much, Pete. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. It's been absolutely amazing. Bucket list item off the list now. So, is there people who don't know who you are and sort of curious of what you do? Where can they find you and where can they see what you do?
I appreciate you asking, Ryan. So certainly go to my YouTube channel, Voiceover Pete. Be sure to subscribe, hit that notification button, binge watch all my videos, and then you can definitely join our community on Reddit, Voiceover Pete, on Twitter, Voiceover Pete, Instagram, voice_over_Pete, Discord, Voiceover Pete, and Twitch, Voiceover Pete. Did I mention I was busy? And then my website.
Oh, look, you're a very busy guy, and I guess it's. Actually, I'll ask that now. How do you keep yourself scheduled and busy, like in a tight time schedule? How do you sort of do all these things? Just one last question. I'm very curious about that.
Time management's always an issue. Fortunately, since I do everything, in my home office and studio, I can keep everything right here. Where I'd really like to be also is out there meeting fans, meeting with other collaborators. And I haven't gotten the opportunity to do enough of that. But that said, I know it'll come in all time as I go to some shows and conferences. But right now, having that daily routine, it's critical. That's what I'd suggest for every content creator. Get your routine, get your schedule, live by it as much as you can, but certainly live life. We're here to live life, not live a job.
Well, it's a great point to end on instead of the hypothetical. So, thank you very much, Pete. It's been an absolute
Ryan,
pleasure.
thank you.
And
Pleasure's mine.
Well, if people are watching now, curious about what I do, go check if you're on Twitch, check down below. If you're on YouTube, check the description. Check out my Twitter, Instagram, my other videos, my other content with my other interviews. There's some great ones there if you've not ever heard of it. Also, check out Phoenix Radio. Great stuff they do there as well. So, everyone, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.